Good evening. This is Defacto Review, a weekly analysis of Mongolia's latest political, economic, and social issues by economist and columnist Mr. D.Jargalsaikhan.
Good evening.
And I'll be your host, Tikshirult. Today's topics are on the state of the Development Bank of Mongolia loans and the mortgage loan payback for next year and the digital transformation of Mongolia. So our first topic is the state of the loans loaned out by the Development Bank of Mongolia. The Development Bank of Mongolia has been operating since 2011 with the purpose to invest in strategically important projects that benefit Mongolia's economy. And between 2011 and 2022, $3.5 billion were accumulated for the funds, with $1.5 billion coming from the Chinggis bond. And between 2012 and 2016, $2.5 billion were invested in various projects, but it was estimated that 70% of these loans were non-performing loans. And the Development Bank of Mongolia is scheduled to pay back $500 million in bonds for the Euro bond that was accumulated from the international market, and 30 billion yen for the Samurai bond from Japan. And these payments are scheduled for October and December of next year in 2023. And between January 20th of this year and November 6th, a total of 782 billion tugrugs were paid back for the loans that were granted by the Development Bank. So what conditions need to be made, or do you think that we will be in a place to be able to pay back the bonds for next year?
Yes, these two bonds, according to the CEO of the Development Bank of Mongolia, Mr. Mandul, these two loans nowadays almost ready to be paid. Samurai bond, with the current strong devaluation of yen, which is 150 yen for $1 level now, which was formerly 80 or 90. So it's almost 2 times now weak yen, and they have been, looks like, collected enough funds to pay that. But however, it doesn't mean that the Development Bank will pay those loans. But however, they still need to get paid a lot bad loans, mostly politically connected. So that's why the very fact that out of 3.2 trillion MNT total asset, total loan for last 10 years, 11 years old the bank is, and out of that amount of loan portfolio, 1.8 trillion MNT are qualified as bad loan, out of which, as a result of this long, almost a year effort of this government, almost 777 billion MNT loan is paid back. So it gives some hope, but still it is around another 1 trillion MNT is to be paid. So that these bonds you talked about to be paid back. But however, we need to have a serious analysis of what had happened, why is it happening, and what shall we do with this bank afterwards, because there is very serious concern about the future of this Development Bank of Mongolia, and it was discussed at the parliament last week, and there is some things to be worried about. According to the parliament member Davasuren, the current state is to do with the governance of the bank. For example, Mr. Davasuren addressed the current Minister of Finance, Jahlang. He said that your manager is head of the loan department of the Development Bank. Your another friend, Uyanga, is the the loan financing department. Looks like they have such a department. And your wife has indirectly connection with the Chinggis Bank, to which the Development Bank of Mongolia put saving of 40 today billion MNT. Actually 35 billion MNT, 5 billion is an interest rate. And they cannot collect back from this Chinggis Bank that money. And also Mr. Tawasureng not only denouncing Mr. Jaholan, but also there is a government resolution draft that is coming with the budget for 2023. And that resolution says, if necessary, for sake of raising a fund from the international market, if necessary, government of Mongolia will give guarantee to the loan of the Development Bank of Mongolia, which made many parliament members mad. And they say that now you have made all these bad loans, now the state is going to pay for that, and then nobody will pay their bad loan now anymore. So thus you not only manage it badly, but also now the government and the taxpayers will pay this bad loan. So that was the discussions had last week at the parliament. And it gives, immediately the picture of really how the state-owned enterprises, banks, whatever is state-owned in this country, are going without any proper monitoring and going in the hand of politicians. So that's why I think Development Bank of Mongolia is a mirror of quality of Mongolian state and Mongolian state governance.
As for the paybacks of these loans that have not been paid back yet, will there be any judicial... there is a lot of talks in the courts, but do you think that they will be able to collect some of the loans that are not being paid back through the courts?
Well, now, you see, 1.8 trillion MNT, 777 is paid. Now for remaining 915 billion MNT bad loan with 16 borrowers are now under investigation. And there is a hope that they will pay somehow that money. But the Mongolian judicial system is so confusing that even some court was delayed 24 times. 24 times. So, and now out of this 16 borrowers case, 15, they are under the investigation. Another 15 is already, there was a court decisions, and 41 loan have been paid back. So altogether we talk about almost 70, 80, 100, 70 loan. And now also they are under the criminal case investigation, some of the civil case investigation. And the Mongolian parliament made a working group headed by Mr. Ing Bayar, who was questioning. There was a bond council since 2013, and looks like this bond council made a very significant role in this proceeds of bad loan. The very fact that it was run first Korean management team, then they kicked them out, though the contract was for a long time, but cabinet kicked the Koreans out, and they said that we have already learned what is supposed to learn by us. Very funny. And since it's a state-owned enterprises bank, so the first initially it was economic development ministry. Mr. Batbayar was representing state shareholder shares. Then they have they have resigned that, say, that ministry is not existing anymore. Mm-hmm. Then the shareholder on behalf of the state was replaced by even the chancellery, cabinet chancellery, then Minister of Finance. So today the shareholder is Minister of Finance, which the minister was accused of bad doing. So it shows how short-term is Mongolian government, and now it goes without this kind of proper monitoring. What do you expect? This bad loan, what we have. And the hope is now there are three major borrowers, which is 50% of current bad loan, which is not paid. Mm-hmm. That is Iril Corporation, 180 billion MNT, Birin Group, which also 180 billion, mm-hmm. and then Hutul Cement company, 200 billion. All of them are directly, indirectly connected with high-ranking political officials. Mm-hmm. And many of these bad loans are mostly connected with politically connected people of two parties, Democratic Party and People's Party. Mm-hmm. And they talk about only the other, criticizing only each other. But it is not hot and cold for ordinary Mongolians. The two ruling party both did these whole things. And so we need to clean up this governance system. Otherwise, there is no guarantee that there will be another bad loan if the development bank will survive. And also they talk about remaking that development bank into export and import bank of Mongolia. So under this name and the status change, there may be again, we may lose many bad loans forever, which may be recovered again by tax money.
Mm-hmm. So changing it, you've said that it may become an import-export bank. Mm-hmm. So would that function any differently? Or would it mainly focus on export-oriented projects, companies?
Originally it was the idea, but now it has no sense to rename the bank because then it's a matter of recapitalization, it's a matter of cleaning the balance, and all these bad loans will be written off, at least temporarily, which is no good for future benefit of Mongolian people who are at the end paying even for these mistakes of the bank.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to our second topic, which deals with the mortgage loans of the government and Mongol Bank. So the government and Mongol Bank and participating commercial banks have loaned out 6.6 trillion tuguruks in mortgages to 110,000 families since the program was initiated, and within the framework of the 10 trillion comprehensive plan for health protection and economic recovery by the Mongol Bank, mortgage payments were delayed from April of 2020 to currently the end of 2022, and the delay happened a total of 5 times. So, of course, this was a plan to aid families during economic slowdown, but the problem that it causes is that there is no capital going back into the banks for the repayment of these loans. So do you think that this grace period should, because they're talking about extending this grace period for another 6 months, do you think that we should start accepting payments already or by the 1st of the next year, January?
So 2 things. During COVID, the government, this austerity measure, and then plus the COVID fighting plan of the government, there is a special law, and that law is ended by the end of this year. Mm-hmm. With that, this mortgage payment postponement delays are to be ended. However, the parliament, some members are discussing that we will extend for another 6 months. The other part of the other parliament members say, no, we should end it now so that people they pay their loans they are supposed to pay. It's already 31 months of not paying. And
people a lot of losses in interest fees and even just
interest
payments.
Fees, principals are not paid at all for 31 months. So it caused two things, as you said. One, the fund is shrinking. There's no fund to extend that mortgage loan. But mostly we need to reconsider the origin of this mortgage 12 years ago. 2013, almost 10 years ago they have started. But it was started by the central bank, which slowly was supposed to give all this portfolio of the mortgage loan to the government because it's budgetary work. Housing is important for increasing living standard of people, and many countries do have own mortgage system. But one difference, very few government has housing, the mortgage system. In developed countries, there is a whole system where very sophisticated, specifically focused investors. Singapore, good example, for example. But in Mongolia, however, it is in the balance of the central bank, which is not supposed to run this kind of businesses. So they are not taken back to the budget. You know why? Because government, the central bank is giving today loan to commercial banks at zero interest. And commercial banks goes with 6% to the mortgage borrowers. 6% is almost 2 times or sometimes 3 times less than market interest rate. Mortgage loan is usually lower, but it's longer-term loans. And it is, if it is necessary to be organized by the state, it should be the state budget. But when you say discounted rate, discount means lower than the market rate, the market price, but that difference is to be paid by the budget. And that budget cannot accommodate this kind of amount of mortgage. Today, as you said, 6.6 trillion MNT, around 100,000 households get a mortgage. So that amount of people live in the houses they have, mostly residents. It's a small, few couple of rooms, 3 rooms, apartments mostly. But however, it's solving a problem. But there is one problem. I mean, one problem is with this ownership of the loan, which is to be state. Second problem is this budget support, which will create more foreign debt. So if the government takes that loan to on budget, then they need to cut other expenses. Mortgage also loan, when you finance mortgage, it supports construction companies. And in Mongolia, in construction, 50% of whatever they use is imported goods. It was even more before when we had not own plant for cement. Now we have a cement produced in Mongolia. So the remaining 50% is imported goods. And that mortgage not only increased that inflation due to the mechanism of 0.6%, but also it fueled devaluation of MNT because more import supporting. We need more foreign currency. We spend that mostly in China. So 2 things.
So it's going out from the state budget out to importing goods.
No, in general, what I mean is, in any way, in whoever's hand is the mortgage, now even through the central bank, when they support mortgage, it supports construction companies, which is buying more import goods, which is spending more hard currency. That's one of the reasons why Mongolia our Tugrik is becoming weaker and weaker. So at this current time, today, we should cut our expenses after this 2 years COVID spending, almost another budget. So instead of that, they will start supporting with the mortgage system. It will increase not only inflation, but also the devaluation of Mongolian MNT. So because there's two reasons, it's a time to transfer all mortgage portfolio from the central bank to the state budget. And having that state budget, because it will increase the budget deficit, so the government needs to cut many expenses at the same amount. But whether this government will do or not, it's another question. But from the efficiency point of view, that's what is to be made.
How likely do you think that is that this portfolio is transferred to the government? Because the government has to approve it first, right?
The parliament. Looks like they have a divided opinion now. So, but I think it's a party politics. So majorities of the parliament seats belong to the People's Party. Probably they will solve the issue. Whatever the solution is, it is not the complete one. Whether they will continue or not, still we will have a problem with the mortgage because people are already demanding, because it's 6%, when the real inflation is about 13%. So it's much easier to have sitting on the debt just to pay 6% when the whole inflation goes to 13%. So that's the situation.
Let's move on to our final topic for this week. One of the things that Mongolia is often commended on is our digitalization, and especially our e-Berim tax system. So with e-Berim, we are able to register any purchase that we make right after the purchase, and we can receive our tax returns after every quarter. So this is one of the services that are offered with our switch to digitalization, such as the e-Mongolia system, where we can receive 685 government services straight from our phones. But one of the issues that was brought to our attention this week was the amount of paper that was wasted for e-Berim bills. So for the first 3 quarters of this year, an estimated 350 million Tugrus were spent on printing shopping bills, and people are advocating to move even further onto a system where we can register our purchases right after making them, as 90% of purchases made in Mongolia are made through digital means nowadays, such as cards or mobile apps. So should this initiative be a priority, or do you think that there are other things that we need to focus on for further digitalization?
E-Mongolia is a good example of digitalization process of Mongolia. That's even the very name. However, in order to have all possible services online on the phone, the government need to integrate all government offices' database programs. The problem is today we can do a lot of services online, but still the related government officials' computer system cannot read each other, not compatible. So the meanwhile short-term solution is to create middle or bilateral data fund that they can go with own languages, put into the languages they can both read. It's a very expensive process going on. But Mongolia is trying to make this digital revolution, digital transition very fast. And in fact, many things goes on. But however, the other day, Parliament member Bat Shogur, who is the head of the Parliament Standing Committee for Innovation, Digitalization and Innovation, have met the State Registrar Office, and they have been highlighting this problem of not compatible databases between ministries. Now they're going to solve it but the good thing is now around 450,000 Mongolians got digital signature by this time. Digital signature, I got, for example, on my identity card. And you can get it also on your phone, on your computer, whatever you use. And when you have this digital signature, it makes your life, in particular companies' life, easier, because by we have 4 laws supporting the digitalization and also defending your privacy, etc. Quite good laws. And in the process of implementation, we need that digital signature, and also which makes our identity system is different. And we have already have a system called HOR, which is a general database that everybody can use. As we talked, some company cannot put their database there; it is not readable. The second system is Tang. It's only one. It is the system of entering into that big data. And for that, this digital signature, e-signature, will first you identify yourself with the signature. Second, you confirm that it's you exactly, you are yourself. And with this two approach, then many digital documents can be as if you signed with your hand. Or you can even make your hand signature as a visible thing. So one. Secondly, with the whole this digitalization, your ID can be your payment system. In fact, you can go to the Han Bank system. You can identify yourself. You can get, for example, nowadays people go to the bank getting stamp on your bank list so that you can prove your payment capacity, payment power to the some embassies require that for visa, which is quite cumbersome work. But now you can go to, say, Han Bank system and you can put it with your fingerprint. You get printed for example, your files. So this kind of makes very easy our life, in particular if you use a bus, for example. They call it NFC. It's a system that, like a commercial bank credit cards, you just put it closed and it will read. And now soon there will be no need to buy tickets because just you show your ID. In that way, this our ID has small chip inside, but that chip has a lot capacity inside. So just one of them, this, for example, signature, then many other data. And now, every Mongolian citizens now have own number, ID number, not the one registration number we have. Most probably it will be replaced. So overall, we go very much ahead of many countries in that regard, but we have still a lot to do. And I would like to highlight our particular issue of digital divide in the society, because we may end up all things digital, but some people may not understanding. Already there are senior people, some who doesn't use computer, who doesn't buy online, and we need in particular, those who knows, in particular young people, to help the senior people to understand how to operate in digital world.
It's a very exciting developments.
Yep.
Okay. So that has been it for this week's Defacto Review. This has been Defacto Review, a weekly analysis of Mongolia's latest political, economic, and social issues by economist and columnist Mr. D.Jargalsaikhan.
Thank you very much for watching us this time. We do it every week, and from the next week we will do it also in Mongolia. Thank you very much.